Hi everyone, thank you for joining me for another awesome expo event, and I gotta say this one is my favorite because I love watercolor, and I've been doing watercolor for many years, and just recently realized that you can do it in a journal or a scrapbook page or a book of any type. So I have tried this technique on lots and lots of different paper types. They all work like a dream. So you will need one thing. I'm going to go over that with you, but first I want to tell you about our show special. This is 25% off everything on our website. That doesn't include our clearance items because those are already discounted, but it's 25% off everything else on our website. So if you like this watercolor technique, now's the time to get started and get some supplies. So those are all going to be on sale on our website. Here is the coupon code that you want to enter when you go to checkout. It is WC SSBE 2020. So this is the coupon code. Put that in as you're ready to check out and you will get 25% off your order. And if your order is $50 or more, you get free shipping on top of that. And in any order that you order from us, you're going to get a small little limited edition 2020 stamp as our gift to you. So lots of really fun things. Check out our watercolor on our website. Now this technique is also on YouTube. There are many dozens of videos on YouTube showing how to watercolor using rubber stamps, very similar to what I'm going to show you. So if you like this technique, if you want to know more about it, go to our channel on YouTube, Art Impressions, click that channel and look up Watercolor Wednesday. Those are all watercolor techniques on how to do this technique just using stamps, water, and a brush. And really the only ink that we're using are markers, water-based markers. So super easy, fun to do, and lots of inspiration on there for you. You can also check us out on Instagram, Facebook. I am live on Facebook twice a month, so every first and third Wednesday is Wednesday Live, and it is watercolor. And I've also been doing some journaling on there too, so I really just love it so much. And now that you can watercolor on any type of paper, it's just opened up a whole new world. So check me out on Facebook. Those videos are archived on there, so they stay on Facebook. You can check those out and join me every first and third Wednesday on Facebook for Facebook Live, and I'll be doing lots and lots of watercolor everywhere. You can also, if you're interested in journaling, Bible journaling. So that's originally how these stamp set, this line of stamping came about, was for Bible journaling. But it also, like I said, works in every type of journal, every type of book. So it isn't specifically for that. But if you are interested in Bible journaling, doing this in your Bible, check me out on Instagram, bonniekrebs.biblejournaling. And there is lots and lots of inspiration for you and instructionals on how to do this in a Bible. And I am also live on Instagram once a month. So check that out, and those videos will be on YouTube. So lots and lots of information. If you want to know more and you're not sure where to go, just call our 800 number and talk to Claire, and she'll get you started. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you how to do a project like this in a journal. Now this is a normal journal. This is not watercolor paper. This is regular paper that you would see in any journal or planner. And I'm going to show you how to watercolor this into your journal, and only a few minutes, to be able to do it in just a few minutes. So the key is the ground, and this is what it is. This is the Golden brand, absorbent ground. This is exactly what it is, and I would, you can get this on Amazon. I would recommend, if you want to do this, go to Amazon and put it in the search and get it on Amazon. You're going to get it really quickly. We have it on our website. We are out of it, and it's hard for us to get. So you know what? I just tell people go to Amazon and get it. This is the game changer. You will need a brush like this. This is a 1-inch flat brush. And this is what you use to apply it to your journal. So it doesn't take very much. You're going to just use your brush just like this, and you're just going to apply it to your page exactly where you want to watercolor. A thin coat, and there are tutorials on YouTube that show you exactly how to prep your page. Once your page is prepped, you're ready to go, and you can watercolor just using markers. This is what I'll be using, these Tombow markers. Very simple, water-based. They don't have to be these particular ones, can be any water-based marker. And then a simple brush like this. This is a watercolor number 4 brush. I'll show you that in the project when we get going. And that is all there is to it. So we're gonna get started. I'm gonna show you how to do this really, really fun project, really, really simple and easy to do. And I hope you'll give it a try. Here's the set that I'm using, this one right here. This is the, this is called the Hyacinth border set. It's 5271. This is the one I'm using. And you can see on this set, it's a mirrored image. So you get a left and you get a right. So when you're stamping in a book, you can do both sides of the book. Really, really easy to do. Here's another one that's in that series. This one is called the Poppy Border Set. It's 5273. This is another one, and you can see it's exactly the same. It has a right and a left. It's these in this series are done exactly like I'm going to show you. You're gonna do them the exact same way, and you can of course switch out the colors. This one too. This is the Blossom Border Set. It's 5272. It's very, very simple and similar, and you can see it's a left and a right, so you can see exactly how to put this into a book. These also are available on YouTube, these tutorials, so you can go to YouTube, check that out, and find more instructionals on how to do this technique. Here's another one. This is another one in the set. There are many in this series, so you can go to our website, check out the Bible journaling series, and find all of these in this series. But here's that little hydrangea. And it's used in this little border set. So again, lots and lots of inspiration. There are lots of sets. And the difference with these, this is why they're in this series, is because they're long and narrow, and they are made for margins. So they're made to go in a book. They're made to go on in a border. They're long and narrow, and that's why they're in this series. Otherwise, they work exactly like all of our other watercolor. So let me move my camera and let's get started on our project. So here is the project I wanted to show you. This is the hydrangea set, and it comes with a right and left, so it's perfect for journaling. This is from our Bible journaling line, and what that means is that these stamps are made specifically to go in margins. So they work great in books, they work great in journals, everywhere that you need a long, narrow stamp, just like this one. So it works perfectly in a journal just like this, and that's what we're doing. We're doing this journal. It's a really simple one. I've just prepped the page and stamped my image, and then I pulled the color out of the line. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. And these come with a right and a left so that you can mirror the image on both sides of your journal. I use the right one here, but you can duplicate this and do it on the other side of your journal really, really easily. Okay, so here is the set that I'm using. This is called the Hydrangea Border Set 5271, and it is so simple to do. You're gonna love doing this project. So I have, just for time's sake, gone ahead and stamped it in my journal. And again, I've prepped the page. I've brushed that absorbent ground on very, very thinly and let it dry. And then I've used a terry cloth, just like this one, and I've just kind of buffed it out. So I've gone over it, I've gone over the page, just over the whole thing, and buffed it out so that it's very, very smooth. So now we are ready to add some water to it. And what I've done is, you can see on the stamp here, I've colored the areas separately. So the vines, everything that's going to be green, I've colored that with a green, and I've actually used this one right here. This is a Tombow 177. I've used that on the green, and then on the florals, I've used 2 colors. I went over it first with a purple 636, and then I went over it again with a blue 526. This is 528, but it is 526. That is the one I used, this one right here. So I went over this with 2 colors, and then I stamped it into my journal just like this. Okay, so now I'm going to dip my brush in water. I've got some water over here on the side just like this, and the brush that I'm using is a number 4. This is a connoisseur number 4 round tip, just like this. And I'm going to dip it in water, and then I'm going to pinch it off so that it's flat. I don't want too much water on here. I want to keep it really, really dry. And then I'm going to start now adding some color, adding some water to these to this image. And what this ground does is it just kind of turns your it turns your paper, any kind of paper, into a canvas. And you can do these beautiful watercolor designs, you know, in a journal or in a book. I've tried this in many different types of books. I've tried it in lots and lots of old songbooks. I've tried it in journals, planners, lots and lots of different types of paper, and it works great on all types of paper. So you can also do this in your on your scrapbooking pages. It works great for in there too. So it just kind of opens up a whole new world for watercolor. And you know, when you can do it in other places like this. It used to be you could only do it on watercolor paper, but now you can do it on many, many other different types of papers. Okay, so you can see I'm just kind of dabbing. What this brush is doing is pulling that color out of the lines. So it's kind of bleeding that color out. And you can see I'm just kind of going over this very carefully with a pretty dry brush. So I've gotten it wet, but I've pinched the majority of the water off, and I've really left some white spaces. I'm going to hold this up so that you can really see what I'm talking about here. You can see that the color is more concentrated in the center of the blooms, and then along the edges I've left that white. And using two colors like that really adds more depth, because that purple and that blue will both come out. So when you add your water to this and the colors that bleed out, you're going to get a mix of these two colors. And I just love these blue hydrangeas anyway. So beautiful. And you know, you can just take your time doing this. It is so fun. It's really relaxing because it's going to turn out perfect every time, I promise. It's going to turn out perfect. Make sure your brush isn't too wet. That's the biggest thing. Make sure you have prepped your page. Now, I get asked all the time if you can use gesso, and the answer to that is no. You cannot use gesso. It does not work for this technique. You have to use an absorbent ground like the one that I'm using. And then you can see the back of the page. See, there's no bleed at all. The page doesn't pucker. It doesn't soak through, and it just works so well. It is just the funnest thing. So now all I'm doing is dabbing at each petal one at a time and dragging the color out. So now I've gotten through this whole, all of the blooms here. So now I'm going to go in, I'm going to clean my brush off. Now I'm going to go back through and do the foliage. And I'm dragging this out now. I'm just touching, you know, all these little tiny areas. And if you find that you get too much water on your brush, just pinch it off again. Just pinch it off. Just keep pinching it off until you get enough water that you're blending the lines, but you're not blurring the lines. Okay, so I'm just kind of working my way down. It takes very little water, and I'm just touching all of these little areas. Then coming down here to the bottom and just pulling the color out of the lines. That's all I'm doing. All the color is in here from when I stamped the image, and all of these lines are holding color, and that's where it comes from. So I'm just kind of, you know, coloring over the lines and drawing that color out. Okay, so I've got my watercolor image in here. I've got quite a bit of this done now. So I'm just going to add some water to my palette, or some color to my palette. Now this is a really bright green. This is number 173, and I'm just going to take some of this color now and add it to my leaves, just to give a little more color definition. It's sort of like we did with the blooms. You know how we mix the color? We're kind of doing that same thing. We're just adding more color now to the foliage part. And I can add it to these little leaves too. And just kind of work your way down. You can take your time. It's such a fun, relaxing thing to do. And you know, these turn out different every time. Even though you're using a stamp, nobody would ever guess that this was a stamp. They would just think that you created this beautiful painting all on your own. Okay, so now I'm going to take a fine tip. This is twin tone. This is a dark blue twin tone, and the reason I'm using it is just because it has a very, very fine tip, just like this. And I'm just going to go in here, in between some of these little blooms, and really darken some of these areas. And that's going to give us a little more definition. You know, the goal is always that we end up with a completed watercolor image that looks like a painting. We don't want anyone to see it and think that it's stamped. And if you do it this way, no one will ever guess. They'll just think that you are a brilliant watercolorist and you have created this amazing painting. And they also won't know that it only took you a few minutes. That's the other great thing about this technique, is that it doesn't take very long at all. Okay, so we got some more definition in here. So I'm going to add another little stamp here. This is the accent. This is an accent stamp, and it comes in that set. And I'm just going to ink it in a dark blue, or excuse me, a green. And I'm just going to ink the whole thing in a green and just stamp it in here a couple of times, just like this. So once you're finished, you know, coloring, you can just add some detail in like this. So fun. You can stamp it in here a couple times. You can do as much of this as you want to. And I think I'll just add another one out here and maybe one more up here. Okay, so now we're going to take some of this color that's on these foliages and the leaves, and we're going to drag it to the outside. And that's going to give us a really, really nice background and detail. So we're just kind of dragging this color out to the outside. So we've pulled it to the inside to color all of these different images, but now we're dragging it to the outside, and we're just creating a really nice background. And you can see the colors will all sort of bleed out. You know, the purples, the blues, the greens, the different greens, those will all kind of bleed out. So not too much. You don't want to use too much water, just a little bit. And just kind of drag it out. You can do as much of this as you want to. And if you like more of a definite impression, you know, more of a clear image, you can just skip this part too. Totally up to you. But I think it really adds a lot. I think it looks more like a watercolor when you do this. It gives you a really nice depth to it. So it actually gives you more of a background. And I think that really, really adds to the image. And I think I'll add a little more color in here. This is a really bright blue. This is a 373, so it's actually more of a teal color. So you can do a little of this too. Take a little bit of this color and just brush it in. And again, we're just adding some background here to give it more of a watercolor look. And I'm just putting it in here by the blooms. And back in here in the bottom. And you can see this is really starting to come together, and so quick and so easy. And there are more in this series. So there are more sets like these hydrangeas. If you go to our website and go to artimpressions.com and go to the Bible journaling section, you can see all of the different sets that are available. And they all work the same way. And they are specifically made to go into margins, just like this one. Okay, I think we are about finished with this project. And I'm going to sign and date it, and I hope you do the same when you do a project like this. Be sure to sign and date, because even though you're using a stamp, every time you do it, every time you use it, it's going to be a little bit different. So it is your creation. You're using your own colors, you're putting it all together, and you should sign and date it. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you do, check out more projects on YouTube and on Facebook and on Instagram. Don't forget coupon code. Here's our coupon code, WCSSBE 2020. Don't forget that coupon code when you go to checkout, and 25% off everything on our website. So I hope you will head on over there, and happy shopping to you.
We're going to talk today about wet on wet and about multi-part stamping with watercolor and using a MISTI and stamping blocks. So we're going to hit a lot of topics. So be patient with me because we've crammed a lot of information into this thing. And then for extrapolation, visit us on the website and you'll see the videos a little slower and more extensive. So the star of the show today is really Colorburst. We're going to work with the powdered version and the liquid version. This is the Moroccan set. It was set number 4. It's my favorite set, and it's on sale at a great price today. You'll never find it at a better price. So let's take a look and see what we're doing. We're going to start with our fall leaf background, number 1243. We're going to use 3 of our color fuse stamps first, just to show you another set that we created, the 1227 watercolor background. And that lets us stamp down in these watercolor splotch patterns with just an ink pad. And it's really not watercolor, but it gives you a watercolor effect. For those of you that are looking for that without the mess and struggle of learning watercolor, this is a quick and easy way to do that. We've had this a couple years now, and we've taught classes with it, and it's been very successful. People have really enjoyed the backgrounds. And because there's multiple sizes and they can be cut up after that to other sizes if you want, you can use this in a lot of ways. So we're using a little bit of the orange set and the red set and the green set, just some basic fall colors. It's that time of year, so we've kind of stayed with the fall motif in this session. We're doing this on just a regular piece of standard cardstock, not watercolor paper. You could do it on watercolor paper, but you'd really want to use watercolor for that to get the real effect of what the paper can give you. And we'll get to that. That's what we'll use from here on in. This is the last piece of cardstock we'll use. Now we'll take our background and we'll stamp over the top of that. VersaFine Clair Nocturne, the black. The VersaFine Clear pads are fantastic, and we'll be using the Nocturne throughout the show today, along with Morning Mist, which is their gray pad. And here's one that we finished that one up and we trimmed it off camera, and there we have it. Now we're going to do the same background, but we're going to use the watercolor. So I'm going to actually paint on this. I'm going to paint 2 or 3 of the leaves, and then we'll show you one that we completed, because nobody wants to sit and watch somebody paint forever. So you go sparingly with your color and your water. You want just enough water to move this. This is a dry technique. We're not painting, we're not dipping the paint into the wet surface. We're just painting onto a dry surface. And whatever shade comes out is what we get. And we can add color to that, as you're seeing. My normal process is color, color, blend. And so we're doing a little bit of that, but you can also remove color. So here I'm going to take a drier brush where it's wet, and I'm going to remove some of the color to lighten it up so we get a contrast of shades going on. A little bit more red. So as long as you don't throw a lot of water at this, you're very gentle on your water, you can keep moving and it won't cause a blend, and things will change as you add or subtract colors. So even if you're not immediately happy with something, don't give up on it. The green there was a little bit too much for me, so I pulled some of it off. And I'm going to simply move it down to another leaf. And we'll try another color combination down there. I'm going to add a little yellow. I'm trying to give the impression of these leaves in different modes of change, from the green state to the oranges and browns of fall. And while you have 5 or 6 colors that you're working with, the combinations of those in watercolor creates a whole nother palette. So you get to play a lot with the colors. Here we're outlining with a darker red, and it looks terrible, but let me blend it and things change. It's amazing what happens if you don't give up on it. It is so much easier once you get a feel for the paper and the water quantity to blend with watercolor than it is with Copics or dye markers or anything else, because the combination of the paper and the medium were made to go together. So this is what the finished card, and it's basically the same thing. We just took our time and went over it, and a lot of different colors. That's number 1243, fall leaf background. So now we'll start with our flowers. Wildflower Joy, number 1015. This is one we were going to do in the class this year, but everything got canceled. So we have a lot of these, and we'd like to show you what we're going to do. And so I'm going to actually put 2 colors of watercolor onto the stamp. One will be an orange, they'll both be an orange base, one with a small amount of scarlet to go with it, and the next one with a larger amount of scarlet. And we'll stamp them next to each other, and it creates a real pretty effect. So we start with a dry stamp and some Colorburst, but we're not using much water here, just enough to take the Colorburst and liquefy it. I used the powder on this one as a base because I wanted it stronger. The powder is much stronger than the liquid is. So for the accent, I use the liquid. And just a couple sprays. If too much water, the water does not sink in on watercolor paper, so you don't want to use more than you need to get it to transfer. So we have an orange base with actually it's gamboge, with a little bit of the scarlet. And now we're doing the same thing, but I'm going to use quite a bit more scarlet, and this is coming from the powdered side. A couple of sprays. You can see how that blended. The pressure of the stamp actually tends to spread the color, so I don't just stamp it and pick it back up. but it doesn't soak in. It has to dry on the surface. So we'll use the VersaFine Clair Nocturne again, and I'm going to put something underneath this because my stamp's going to hang off the edge. And here's the card we did originally for the class. So now this is another one that we have for the class this year, and it's number 1005. And this is different. We've stamped this one just with the outline to begin with. And I've dried it so that I can use water on it. It's the Clair, but then we're going to use the Fantastics. This is something created from the Sukaneko people. It's a fibrous pin, and watch it soak up the liquid watercolor. It just soaks it up into that brush, but it's not really a brush, it's just fibers, but it lets you paint with it. And it's so easy to paint with this. You can have a set of these. You can have all the colors that you want in here, and it has a little self-sealing tip on it. It won't drip, it doesn't want to dry out, and then you can reload it anytime you've emptied it. So I'm going to take the second one and I'm going to use it to accent with a little scarlet, and then I have a third one that I'm going to just pick up some water and I'm going to use that as a blender. But it is so slightly filled, it's just a moisture. So it's really easy to control the water going onto your watercolor paper. Too much water, it just doesn't work. So gaining control of the water is my primary characteristic for starting to find out how this stuff really works. And there we have it. I'll show you the card that we made earlier this year. That was part of the class. We're going to put a mask on it first. So we're going to use our 1231 random dots, random splatter, I guess is what it's called. And I wanted to see how dark it'll stamp there. So that'll be okay. We'll put a mask on here. It just makes it kind of interesting. I'll show you the card we made with it so you can understand why we were doing that. Just a little balance. So now here, so stamp number 712. This one was the first one we ever made. And it's a great stamp. It's been around a long time, but it's a workhorse. We're going to put both colors on this one, on the Misty, but we're going to do it in two different. I got a little tape stuck in my Misty. Well, we'll get that later. I'm going to put this on here and I'm going to stamp it twice because of the ability of the Misty to do that. So I can put one color on and then I can stamp into something that's wet. I can stamp into something that's dry. Both of those techniques will create something different. And I'm using the Fantastics here still to do this. So I picked up some of the gamboge and we've got the other one filled with the scarlet. And so this is all just gamboge here. But I came back and added a little bit of darker or a larger quantity of gamboge so you can see a little bit of color variation. And now we're going to add the scarlet into the centers of each of the flowers, and a little accent here and there. We'll tick off some of the dots on it. I don't know if you can really see the dots on the camera, so we're not in very close. It's a little different to clean up on the Misty than it is on a stamping block. And now we'll lay the overlay on it. We'll again pull out our VersaFine Clair Nocturne pad. We'll stamp this in black. Very dramatic. It's an easy lineup. It doesn't fit anything perfectly. And we'll show you the card that we had done originally for that one. Those three were from the class. So now this is another one that we're creating just for today. This is number 922. And I'm going to use conventional stamping blocks on this, so I get one shot at it. I'm going to put everything onto one stamp, and I'm aligning the stamps and I'm making sure that the block edge is parallel with the paper, so they're common between them. So if I stamp one parallel with the paper now, I can stamp the other one parallel and have a good chance of lining them up. So I'm going to use the gamboge from the powder because this is the base and I want a lot of oomph on this one. And then we'll come back and we're going to use a little bit more, a little highlight here and there. And finally a little bit of the scarlet from the powdered set. The powders were originally called Colorburst. The liquid was just called liquid watercolor. But I think they've adopted the Colorburst name on both pieces now, Colorburst powder and Colorburst liquid. You can see how rich and vibrant that is. So we're going to give it a little bit of dry, because you don't want to be stamping over the wet. Even though the ink is supposed to be impervious to water, it's still moist and it will bleed a little bit. But once it's dry, it's dry. Claire Nocturne again. Nocturne is their name for black. I'm trying to remember how this goes. Oh, the stems are in the way. There it goes, like that. I said we hadn't done this one for the class. It was pulled out. And we'll zoom in on that. You can see the richness of the color there. Now we have a couple fall trees. This was the original one, number 924. And I'm going to use the liquid watercolor for this one. And all of these things have been done on watercolor paper. So we're going to use a little bit of light green in here. Actually, I think it's a mixture of the green and the yellow to make a little chartreuse. And I will put a little gamboge in these 4 quadrants. But it won't stay like that, so don't worry that it's going to look like an X on the tree. And then we'll dash in a little bit of scarlet, and we'll dash in just the last little bit of the original green to highlight that. Now we'll give this a few sprays, and in the lifting of the stamp, we get a suction, and it moves everything around. And so you know that there was an X there, but if you didn't know that, you wouldn't be able to see it. So don't worry about how you put it on. We're going to dry this, and then we have a second stamp is the tree branch outline that goes into this. We're going to use Color Fuse to do that. We're going to use our brown set. It's nice having the set, the Color Fuse sets now. They give me a lot of opportunity that I didn't have before without having my own sets. So you can see the soft tree. We're going to use the same color on a frame. That's a 1231 frame, number Thinking of You. Actually, I'm sorry, 1069 is Thinking of You. So this is the second tree, and this one's a little tricky because that second part, you see I put it down square to the paper. That's not how it goes. So you want to use the package to get that lined up, because if you don't, it will not line up. So use the package to align these 2 stamps. I did a quick conditioning on them with a rubber eraser because they were brand new stamps. And so we're going to do the same thing here. We'll throw on a little bit of the chartreuse green. And a little bit of the gamboge, touch in a little bit of scarlet. Back to our Color Fuse brown for this. See how the tree is angled, and it's a perfect fit. We're going to use our standard frame for this one with the brown. That's number 89901. It's the original frame we did. 2 double line with 3 dots broken up as we go around. And that's it. So to recap, This is our line of Color Fuse inks. We use 3 of them today. We use the brown and the orange and the green. And there's 12 shades with 4 colors in each one. And there's places in between as well. Colorburst in powder, Colorburst in liquid. That's the Moroccan set, and they are on deep discount for you today. Number 1015. Wildflowers, Joy. Field of Dreams, number 1005. Field of Poppies, number 712. It's called Flower Group, 922. Beautiful flower. 924, our first fall tree. 1204, our second fall tree. Our original frame, number 89901. Our scatter background, number 1231. Thinking of You background frame, 1069. 1227 was our watercolor background set, and 1243 is the fall leaf background. I hope you've enjoyed this. Here's the Versafine Claire Nocturne and the Morning Mist. And if you want to see more of these expanded, visit us at our website. It'll take you to YouTube. Thanks for watching.
Hi everybody, it's Jolene from Close to My Heart. I'm so happy you could join us today. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I have so many things to show you. You're going to have so much fun. And I want to say thank you to the Stampin' Scrapbook Expo at Home team for getting us all together so we can just nerd out on watercolors. So they're so awesome. They work so hard. Thank you so much, you guys. Here's my special. This is 25% off on everything in my stash. And my website is my name, JILLENE.net/S/shop. And your code to get 25% off is STASH25. And the special will go until October 1st. October 1st. So if you're watching this on the replay, you can catch it later on. So the products that are in here are retired Close to My Heart products. There's hundreds and hundreds of them. And a lot, I usually sell them at the expos, but obviously I can't sell them at the expos, boo-hoo. So hopefully you'll take a peek at my stash and get some good deals. Lots of stamps, scrapbook kits, a couple blending brushes. All right, so let's talk watercolors. Oh, so much fun, aren't they? So, as you know, we have a couple new catalogs. 1, 2. This is the core one that has everything in it that's year-round. And every other month we come out with a new seasonal catalog. So yay. Anyway, on page 71 of the catalog has pretty much everything that you would need, except for two things I'm going to suggest extra. Well, let me just do this first, huh? So this has your watercolor pencils, $22.95. Your paints, $12.95. A small water brush and a medium round water brush. So I would get both of these, but if you have to just get one, then get the small so you can do details. Small round water brush. And then we have this new Distress watercolor cardstock from Tim Holtz. And I have to say, this is amazing, amazing paper. It is super, super thick. And it's just so fun to work with. It's so easy. So if you get everything on this page, it would cost you $52.35. So that would be enough so that you could purchase the stamp of the month for the month. Whoa, for $5. That's always your choice. When you spend $50, you can purchase this if you like. So the other couple things I thought you might want to get, after you see my samples, you'll know why. One is shimmer brushes, and we have so many different kinds. Different colors, I mean, excuse me. And they look like this. So you can dip these into your watercolor paints as well. Okay, this one is a clear one. You want to store these up so you can see the color. Okay, and when you first get it, you have to take this off, and there's a little thing around in here that you have to remove. Then you just snap it back together. These last a really long time. You will absolutely love them. $5.50 for each of these. And then the other thing I'm going to recommend to you is the all-purpose mat, which is this. If you can see right here. It is a non-stick mat that easily wipes clean for use with all your projects. Features non-slip underside, so underneath it sticks, and it wipes clean. Just wipes clean with your chamois. And you can also use it to heat emboss up to 240 degrees. So it's just jam. You have everything you need. So then let's look at some of these and see how they work. This is our paints, obviously. And I have mine numbered because sometimes I like to repeat the cards when I'm making some. And I say, oh, then 2 of number 10 and 3 of this and 1 of this or something. As you can see, I'm not too careful with mine. I don't think you need to be, because you always want to have a piece of paper or some type of paper, scratch paper, to test it out on, or even just test it out on your mat, your all-purpose mat. So here's your water brush. This is what we paint with. Again, you just unscrew it, run it under normal tap water, just normal water. And you can see there's a little thing here that says push. If you want more water on it, you can push it. But you really don't need as much water as you think. I recommend using less water than you think you need. So when I get mine going, I always test it on my hand first to make sure, and then it feels pretty dry. So then I will go to let's see, let's do this. So I just squirted some from the pen. It's so easy, you don't even need a big glass of water. So just stir it up. And then I'm going to put a few here, and then I'm going to show you this technique that's called smushing. It's very technical. You probably maybe already know this, but it's so much fun to do. When you want to switch colors, I usually just have a rag, or some people prefer a paper towel. I use a rag because I'm a recycler. Let's see, what other color should I put with that? Oh, I think we'll go with some bright yellow. Yeah. Okay. So this is a little too much water. I wouldn't recommend using this much water, but it's okay. All right, so now let's see what happens when we grab our little piece of paper. This is mainly a background technique. So I'm just going to shut these up here, and we'll do the smushing. So I'm using white daisy cardstock for this. If you know our white daisy cardstock, it's really awesome, but it's very smooth. And it gives a different dimension to this. Oh, I think I better move you up a little bit. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Okay, now just take your end and just go like this all along. And look, isn't that beautiful? So if you don't like too much color, you know, it's just pat it off, and then you just wipe off your all-purpose mat with your stamp chamois. Our stamp chamois come in packs of 2. They're awesome too. You just get regular water on those. Okay, so I'll show you some artwork now, because that's the funnest, right? So here are our pencils. So we have 24 colors. You can use them wet or dry. First example I'm going to show you is, here we go. My friend Jamie made this for me, and she's colored in the hummingbird, but she didn't blend the colors at all. And I love this. I think it's just beautiful. Okay. The other thing you can do is think about where the shadow would be on your, like if the sun was coming down this way, their shadow would be on this side. So I don't know if you can see this, but I have painted a tiny bit of gray, just a little bit of gray for some shadow. Isn't that pretty? Another thing you can do is take your shimmer brush and your pencil, any pen, whatever you're working with, and just go like this, and then you'll get some, oops, I better show you down here, huh? You'll get some color on it. If you want more, you can get more. So that's how this was done. These. Okay. She said, I don't have paints, so I'm going to do this technique with my pencils. So, okay. All right. So here's another example of some shadowing. Hopefully you can see this pretty good. This is painted with water or shimmer brush, and then just a tiny bit of gray along the outside. Okay. Can you see the shine from the shimmer brush? I think too it's important to note that you don't necessarily need to fill in every gap with color. Okay. This is called splattering, and then I took the clear shimmer brush and put it over it. Splattering is, let's say you have your, well, we have a little bit of color on this. We'll see if it works with the pencils too, huh? I better pick this up on here to make sure. So you just go like this. Cool, huh? Now you can do this with your water brush or one of your shimmer brushes, whatever you like. I like the shimmer because it's just gives you a slight little, I'm not sure if you guys can see that or not, but okay. Again, don't necessarily fill in every spot. It looks good. Here's one where I did fill in everything, and then try to use the shimmer brush to blend it. So here's a couple with just some very minimal painting, and it just looks pretty, doesn't it? Again, don't color every single thing. I think that is a hard one for me. This one is so cute, isn't it? Lighter color, made by my friend Jen, and this one's made by my friend Maggie. Here she did the smooshing technique on this. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay. All these stamps I have in my collection, which is on my website for 25% off. Okay. So don't forget to check it out. And here's another smooshing technique, but she just did a little bit in this corner and that corner. Yeah, pretty, huh? And here's my friend Michelle made this. Isn't that beautiful? This is again smooshing. So you can tell we all love that smooshing. We all learned it from our friend Barb on our team. We love to learn stuff from each other. So now I'm going to show you quick a couple things that are newer that I did watercolors with. Okay, this is our new floral background thin cut. Okay, here it is. Again, my brush was very dry when I did this, and then to blend it, I would have put some more water in it. Don't be afraid to layer your watercolors. Put your softest color first, and then just keep adding to it. And here is my initials, Jolene Moen. And I just thought this looked kind of cool. And this is one of our new stamps. Isn't this gorgeous? So I did my little thing here, and then I just colored it very, very lightly with pencil. Very lightly. So that's that. And this is one of our new sets on special. And it's got the cutest sentiments. And this is a background stamp that we have. New one. And these two are stencils that we have. And our stencils come 12 by 12, $14.95 for 3. Alright, so let me show you this. This is my next thing. That one is another background stamp we have, but I wanted to try to just be really subtle here, so I colored it, you know, barely a little bit darker. It's fun, huh? And then that bow is from our new thin cuts. Small bow, $12.95, item number Z3690. But what I want to recommend to you is that you get both sizes, because I'll show you why. I have a couple cool little dealies. This is mixing both of them. Super simple. All you do is fold these in, wrap around, and done. This one's kind of goofy. I don't know if I'm 100% thrilled with this, but if you, I was thinking I'm going to put it on a page, birthday page, and put a circle in the middle with a picture. I'm not sure. I don't know. This is when you paint your stamp and then you stamp it. Isn't that gorgeous? So pretty, so soft, so organic looking. Again, here's some more stencils, our new things, and new shimmer trim colors. Don't forget that to use your watercolors for just a really light background. Very subtle. Yeah. And here's a new embossing folder that we have. We have a bunch of new ones, so you have to check it out. And this is what it looks like plain after you get it done. But I just took it and did a bunch of just painting, lightly, darkly. So I thought this turned out kind of cool. I'm not sure what I'll use it for, but I was thinking, oh, I could use it on this, with this stamp, couldn't I? Okay, well, thank you so much for being with us, and so glad you could join me. Do shop here. You have a chance. JILLENE.net, and shop my stash 25% off. Thank you.